probabilities in class and how to start computing the probabilities for these decision trees. And we ran into the problem of coming up with values that didn't seem to make sense. So here we go. Let's give us another shot. So if you remember our matrix here, you have different data points that have different values to them. So we have something like, we can tell whether or not data points are commercializable or not. Oh, let's work on that. There we go. There we go. Focus. Commercializable or not. And you can get an idea of their porosity, at least within some broad bounds. And in the same way that we did in class, we can assign some probabilities to these things, like 26% of all the wells are both dry and have a porosity of greater than 10 per percent. 28% for that one, 8% for this one, 39% for this one. And that's just based on having, say in this case, 23 data points that satisfy both these conditions, and then 90 data points total. That's all of that comes from. Then we said, okay, what if we only want to care about whether or not, well, a data point has porosity greater than 10%. Then we compute a marginal probability, which is just adding up all the data points in a particular row or column. In other words, the data points that fulfill a certain criteria, and divide by the totals, so the number of data points. In this case, we had 58 data points total out of 90, 64% here, 36% over here, 53% marginal probability there, and 47% marginal probability here. All right. When we went to construct our decision tree, we said, okay, first question I'm going to ask is it dry or is it commercializable? We have two different choices on that. Because that's how we set up the problem. It's dry. There's a 53% chance of it just being dry. We don't care about what the porosity is. All we care about is it being dry. And if it's commercializable, again, don't care about porosity, just is it commercializable? It's a 47% chance of that. All right. Now the trick came, we were having some issues with the class, rather. I was having issues with the class, is porosity. So now we have a dry well, what's the porosity? Well, the question now is, what is the probability of a dry well having a particular porosity? So this 26% here is not the probability that we're looking for. This is 26% of all the data points that we've looked at are both dry and have a porosity greater than 10%. That's not our question anymore. The question now is, of these dry wells, what's the probability of having a porosity greater than 10%? So now what we do is say, okay, we have a total of 48, a good place for this. We have a total of 48 dry wells, dry reservoirs rather, sorry, and we have a total of 23 reservoirs that are both dry and have a porosity greater than 10%. And then we have, by the same token, we have 25 that are dry and have a porosity less than equal to 10%. Okay. So if we're asking the question of dry and particular porosity, now we have to take this set of numbers and look at it by itself. So might say that 23 out of 48 wells are both dry and have a porosity greater than 10%, and 25 out of 48 reservoirs, have a porosity less than or equal to 10%. Now, if I walk through my probability tree, my decision tree, and say, okay, 53% times 23 over 48. Now that gets me the number, which to the number that I'd expect, which is a 26% chance of going anywhere in our survey area and getting a well that is both dry and has a porosity of greater than 10%. And the same would be true if I went down this other path too. I'd get a probability of 28%. All right, so that's what's going on now. Just had to clarify a little bit about what question we're asking. If you have any questions on this, please let me know.